I'm all well as usual. How are you doing? Yeah, it's been really good so far. It's an 18-minute qualifying session with just 3.5 minutes left now. We have Swaggy and Paul with a stonking lap of 1 minute 7.8, and if I got anywhere under tens, I would be celebrating.
I completely agree with you because it's not even easy. Like you said, the game's a little different from the 2019 game. Like you were explaining something to me a little earlier with like the physics of the car and whatnot. But that being said, the rest of it is still the same. And like someone mentioned earlier, we have a short qualifying, which is an 18-minute qualifying, and then that's going to be followed by two races of a 25% each, so about 18 laps and not 17, 18 laps. And the second race is going to be a full reverse grid. So it's going to give a lot of the guys so this time around. Normally we do the top eight as a reverse, but this time with a full reverse grid this time out, it's going to be great because a lot of the guys we never ever see come up in front. Like the new guys, like we have the online Cool Boy, Akshay Hoover, Sid Kulkarni, Tanai Singh. It's going to give all these guys options now to come up in front.
Yeah, it's definitely going to give everybody a chance. And in my opinion, the if we have one of these top three guys finishing in the front, they're going to be needing a lot of strategy because if you look down the times, they look very close to each other. So it's not going to be easy to make up time on track, but strategy is going to play a very important role in this.
Absolutely, because strategy, like you said, is always going to be important because this time around we're going to have both races are going to be 25%. So mandatory pit stops for sure will come into play, and especially all these guys also are qualifying on the soft tires, which means we'll probably see them pitting around lap 8, lap 9 and on.
I'm not too sure as to how long the race is, but yeah, we could expect some drivers coming in by 8, 9. Maybe if the race is longer, then they can come in 1 or 2 laps later again. But again, uh, it's going to play a very important role. We've seen many people go from the harder tire to the softer tire towards the end of the race, which does give them a bigger advantage on lesser fuel and the softer compound and fresh tires as well. So it's all down to the driver to maximize the usage of tires that they have and make sure they don't run out of it at the end though.
Absolutely, because if they, like you said, they do run out of it, it's not going to be the nicest thing that happens. And we've seen races that are won and lost on the last lap, on the last corner, especially when they struggled for tire grip. But so now, 1 minute left in this qualifying. Looks like Dylan Zakaria completely laying down the marker with a 107.8. So, like you said, a stonker of a lap that he put in with Arjun Arun Shah in second place. And just as I said that, there's another cracker of a lap that's coming from Aman Abdullah now with a 107.8, sir.
Yeah, I mean, with the last few moments in the qualifying, it's always going to be fast. And we have Arjun Arunshah just completing his lap. Just have a look at what that will be, and that is the really fastest lap that we have. And Swaggy Dilly is in the pits, so I don't think he will be setting another lap time and will be starting P3. So a bit too ambitious from his side about the last few moments in the qualifying session, but well, he's still done a brilliant job to be at least within the top three are in the class of their own compared
Well,
to the
yeah,
rest
he
of the
still
field.
definitely, he still definitely has the second row saw alongside myself, Maria at the moment. Unless everything changes, but Kaushik Natajan there, in fifth place now in the McLaren as well. So the gap now, if you look at completely all the way down to the top 10, so well, pretty much covered by a second now.
Yeah, I mean this is the kind of racing we always hope for, and this is that something that will actually reflect in second race with the reverse grid. Like I mentioned earlier, there is not much of a difference between most of these drivers in terms of lap times. It's all down to the driver, racecraft, and strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, like just as you're saying that these guys going around their absolute last laps now. The track being nicely rubbered in, a little bit of an overcast. So the track might be slightly juicy when these guys came on. That's why we're seeing much quicker lap times towards the end. But Arjun Shah, we're following around now. There we go. He's dived into the pit lane at this point in time. But he is on pole. So he is on pole, but so this time around looks like Dylan Zakaria, the gamble didn't pay off because he's now down in third place after laying down the marker really after setting down the marker really early. But right now, Arjun Shah and Aman Abdullah then taking the battle to him and now up in the top two front row with the Ferrari and the Mercedes, like in real life, we try to have in real life with Arjun Shah and the Phantom, Aman Abdullah in second place, and Dylan Zakaria with all our hopes on him, the second Mercedes, his teammate down in third place now. So this is quite an exciting top 5-6 people that we've got lined up, and all these guys we know are really quick, especially on race pace like we saw in practice.
Yeah, they are really quick. We've seen Swaggy being the quickest on race pace, but Arjun Orange and Phantom not too far behind, just a tenth or two down in total. And going into this race, it's all going to be very close, and we can expect some carnage, like always.
The carnage is something we always expect, but with the Brazilian Grand Prix, with the run to turn number one being rather short, I hope we don't see too much carnage. But we've always seen carnage in turn one, and that always brings out a safety car or the yellow flags or a virtual safety car, which bunches up the field together and gives us very exciting racing as we go down towards the end of the stint, Soul, because that's what makes the difference. That's probably what makes the difference, right? That's probably what's going to make the difference here. If a safety car does come out, when you talk about strategy so much, it's going to throw a spanner in their plans.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I think at the start of the race, I mean, if the safety car comes, I don't think anybody will be diving into the pits. They would rather extend the soft tires rather than go on to a set of mediums earlier.
Absolutely. So then just take it towards the end. So let's see if the mediums can hold out all the way to the end, because the track is rather abrasive with the tires. We've seen here so the last cup in the 2019 game, especially when we had the championship rounds in Brazil. A lot of the tires started degrading earlier, especially the medium tires that these guys thought would go to the end. So that's something we have to look forward to. But qualifying now, so it looks like it's completely done. And Arjun Shah is now the outright pole sitter for race number one at the Brazilian Grand Prix at UltimateE's Saturday fun day, where we have the F1 2020 virtual Grand Prix in Brazil. But so right now we've got a lot of these guys that we've been talking about. You know, people like Sid Kulkarni down in 15th place. People like Sid Venkatesh, people like Aditya up in 9th place. Dylan Zakaria, Brandon Zakaria, who's Dylan Zakaria's brother, there in 8th place as well. So we know all these guys have race pace, they're super quick. So it's probably going to make for some really exciting racing.
Yeah, it always does, and it's just good to see as well that we have the new drivers such as Siddharth in the Renault and P4 and showing us what they can do, and that he's also in the 1 minute 7. So the top four are in another category probably. Pretty much about almost a second quicker than most of the rest of the field. And now that's the final classification of the short qualifying that we've just witnessed.
Yeah, with Arjun Shah taking pole, with the Phantom Aman Abdullah in second place, Swaggy Dylan Zakaria in third place, Siddharth in fourth place, Sanai Singh in fifth, Arya in sixth place, Kaushik Natarajan in seventh place, Brandon Zakaria in eighth place, Aditya in ninth place, Siddharth in 10th place, the Vita Corleone in 11th place, Akshay in 12th place, Siddharth in 13th place, and Online Coolboy in 9 in 14th place. Some of these names, we just need to get who the real names are. We still haven't gotten in touch, and I hope we get them next time out. But should be good now, because we're not very far away from going racing. And when the green flag drops, so Brazil, like you said, turn one, it's going to be carnage.
Yeah, with like you mentioned earlier, the short run down to turn one, everyone's gonna be late on the brakes, trying to maximize the braking distance. Try to minimize the racing braking distance as much as possible, and you never know who goes into whom at the end. By then.
Well, at that point in time, that's the problem, right? Because we never ever know who's going to come out on top. And a lot of the times, if you've qualified on pole, it is good news, because if you get a good start, you do get away cleanly and avoid the mess behind you. But everyone behind that pole sitter is in a risky position.
Yeah, always. Also, the drivers behind pole position could also be the factor to the incidents, because technically the driver in pole. Oh, wait, are we having that?
Yeah, we've got
right?
5 lights now, so we're going to get going with Arjun Shah on pole, leading them away now for the Brazilian Grand Prix. 18 laps around this brilliant circuit. And Arjun Shah leads him away super cleanly with, and it's already got a move now by Aman Abdullah coming down, and Swaggy Dilly, both Mercedes boys battling it out, and Siddharth now is better position. Arya now has dropped down, and I think that's dropped Aman Abdullah down level place. He's made a big mistake and gone way down the order, and Swaggy Dilly and Arjun Shah getting away cleanly in the front, with now Siddharth behind them in third place. Arya now making himself up into fourth place. Siddharth Venkatesh now up into fifth place, but Brandon and Siddharth in a big battle of their own up for fifth and sixth place at the moment. But Arjun Shah now, like we were just talking about before the lights went out, if you're on pole and get a clean start, you avoid the mess behind you, and that's exactly what he done. And Swaggy Dilly, Dylan Zakaria, always the opportunist in that Alpha Tauri, now on his tail at the moment, hasn't lost too many places, but behind him, the man who actually started on second place, Aman Abdullah, the Phantom now has dropped all the way down in ninth place. That is not good news for him. Brandon Zakaria now up in the seventh place, Aditya in eighth place, and Aman Abdullah now chasing them down, and he's very, very quick, so he's definitely going to have pace by the time he comes up to Siddharth. But as long as Siddharth and Aman Abdullah, as long as Arjun Shah and Swaggy Dilly don't start chopping each other up early up in the race, but these guys, they're very, very experienced. They know exactly when to time their moves and how to time their moves. So they're going to pace themselves out. But up in front, it looks like Arjun Shah and Swaggy Dilly, the gap's getting down even closer at this point in time. They're probably going down that main straight. He's probably going to try to make a move as he goes around. But at the moment, Aditya and Aman Abdullah now having another battle of their own. Looks like he's moved down another place. So that's not a great start at all for the Mercedes, Aman Abdullah. But up in front now, Arjun Shah and Dylan Zakaria on a class of their own. But behind them now, all the way, the top four covered by less than a second. And then a 2-second gap now to Siddharth. So the top four now looks like they're pulling away already, Sol.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good start so far. We haven't had much of carnage. We had Aman Abdullah being involved in an incident, but other than that, we do have 5-second penalties gone out to Online Cool Boy for having a silly collision with Akshay Hoover as well, and Akshay Hoover is now out of this race, so he will be starting on pole for the next race. So we already have a pole sitter, but now we have to see who's lining up behind him.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, just saying so, never say never till the checkered flag drops. A lot can change because this, ladies and gentlemen, is an 18-lap race, and we're only 3 laps in. We're riding on board now with the leader, Arjun Shah, and he's now hot on his heels in that Alpha Tauri. Is Dylan Zakaria half a second behind him, going down the Senna SS, down the long main straight in this Brazilian circuit, on this Brazilian Grand Prix. In the F1 2020 game. And it's great to watch because these guys now, the top three now, starting to pull away. Was another little battle happening between Aman Abdullah trying to make all those positions back up in the Mercedes now against Sid Venkatesh and the Renault. These guys now battling it out with each other. Brilliant little driving. That's some great car control. Watching Aman Abdullah live. While he takes the battle, Sid Venkatesh is going to be able to outbreak him. Just not enough space and not enough traction. Not enough traction coming in these last couple of corners on this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. But you can see Sohail, or under braking, how much quicker Aman Abdullah is compared to Siddharth in the Renault.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows the pace difference, like where is Siddharth losing. So pretty much he's losing everything on his brakes, and but the good thing is that they're actually keeping in touch with each other for now, and Siddharth is using the overtake mode that you have. It's an extra feature to good advantage for defense. But if I'm not wrong, did I see a few droplets of water on track?
Yeah, you did. I was just gonna say, just as you were gonna, before you said it, I was gonna say, it looks like there was a little bit of rain coming down, and this might change everything now. If it starts to rain a lot heavier, then the intermediates will come in, and that's gonna change the rest of the race. So let's just keep an eye out on the weather, because that might just change. That just might change up over the next couple of laps. And you can see a tiny bit of spray now, so starting to be kicked up by these cars, or is it just the exhaust fumes? I'm not too sure. But right now, Siddharth there, up in the third place now already. Up in the third place now. He's battling Dylan Zakaria, so he is putting in some great lap times because he's hanging on to these top two guys, and we knew these top two guys were almost half a second quicker than the rest of the pack.
Yeah, there's the virtual safety car come out right now. Definitely not because of the rain. Probably some incident happened somewhere, and we should be having these guys pitting in pretty soon. But I'm gonna keep my eye out on the first driver who spins, because I've never driven on the wet on this game, and I've heard from many YouTubers and my friends that it's pretty hard on this game compared to the previous one, the wet driving. So That's what I'm gonna be looking forward to.
You do that, so you do that. Because it's going to be, if you do that, and you can see who. I mean, I wonder if you can actually predict and call. If one of the guys at the back, people, especially like Aman Abdullah, who was down in 13th place, would probably take that gamble and go on to Inters if it does start to pour, if it does start to chuck down heavier, and make up some time. They've already said, like you've said, it's in Venkatesh now and Tanay Singh, both in the pits, and I wonder why. I probably got a little bit of damage at the moment, so.
Yeah, and if they are in the pits, they would not want to pit twice, and they would rather just take the gamble and get on to intermediates, because obviously under a virtual safety car, you have to slow down, and it's kind of like a half free pit stop because you're not losing as much time, and that's where these guys have to take the gamble. That's where these guys have to make sure that their thoughts say that it will. Oh, and we have
Oh,
Arjun
I'm
Arun
just
Shah.
saying that Arjun Shah's made a big mistake on the track. He's getting slippery, so and you don't see mistakes from him very often. He's dropped down all the way to 4th place now. Arya as well up in the 3rd place, and Swaggy Dylan Zachariah now in the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix.
And
just as you were saying it, so it
now
looks
we
like the
have
track
live
is getting a lot
footage.
slippery.
We have live footage of the first driver who spun, so yes, we got that.
Yeah, it looks like it for sure. It looks like the track is very, very slippery and very greasy. And it looks like he's coming under massive pressure now from Kaushik Natarajan in the McLaren, using that DRS to power through around the outside, not making it easy at all for Kaushik Natarajan through the Senna S's, and he's blocked past him there. Brilliant little move down turns number 1 and 2. But now on that long straight, he's got on his teammate as well. But I think he's lapping the Ferrari rather of Online Coolboy, who's it's the last place car. So these two guys still in a battle of their own soul.
Yeah, but while looking at these two in their battle, we've missed the fact that Swaggy Dilly has gone into the pits, mostly for a set of inters that should take him to the end of this race, and that'll be another interesting factor now.
I wonder if he's gonna get on Inters. That's a big gamble because it doesn't seem like it's wet enough for Inters yet, so.
Yeah, definitely doesn't, but you can see that the rain is coming down harder, so maybe his race engineer must have told him that they're expecting heavier rain and might get on inters now and take the gamble, because to be honest, I don't see him taking the gamble, because he was having a decent lead unless he was struggling a lot on those tires. You can see now that there's a lot of droplets on the cars, and
Oh
there's a lot
yeah,
of
it's
spray
getting
coming
worse. It's definitely getting worse. It's probably getting a lot greasier and slippery on the track, especially off the racing line now where the marbles are. Because 6 laps in for sure, there's going to be a bunch of marbles on that. Yeah, it'd be great if our broadcasters can show us what tires we're on. That'd be super to see. But a lot of the guys now, so including Arjun Shah and Arya, the first and second and third rather, going the pits as well. So it looks like all these guys are going to be pretty.
I think we've just lost connection with Anjan temporarily, but he'll be back shortly. Oh, he's already back.
I'm right here. Sorry about that. I think I just dropped off for a second, but I was just saying a lot of the guys, Sid Kulkarni, Arya, Arjun Shah, Dylan Zachariah, they've all gone in the pits, and looks like they've all gone and pitted for Inters. Because I saw a little shot of Dylan Zachariah there in the background. So I wonder if he's got to come out on Inters. But the rest of the guys, the rain is now coming down a lot harder. So it's going to get super tricky for these guys up in front on the slicks to start controlling these cars around this track. So, and they definitely need to come in for Inters. So everyone now, starting from 4th place onwards, looks like they've pitted. But the top 3 at the moment, big gamble staying out because they might lose a huge amount of time.
Yeah, we've seen Swaggy Dilly's pit stop come out to be really good, because he's come out almost 3 seconds ahead of Arjun Arun Shah, which means that we almost had another spinner.
Yeah, he's well in the pits,
yeah.
so I think the top 3 now will come in the pits. It looks like it's just way too wet for slick tires. These guys are struggling in the fast corners. You can see how much understeer, how slippery, and they're aquaplaning all over the place. So definitely a good call for Inters. But Soul, if it in Brussels especially, if it keeps raining this hard and if it doesn't stop, in Brussels the rain is relentless, we just might have to see them come back in to get the West, because we can see now the Inters kicking up a lot more spray than the slicks did.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think in a short race that is that might happen. But definitely, it would be really a lot more interesting if that ends up happening, and it'll just bring out so much more strategy in play. And I would love to see something like this for race 2 as well. And if I'm not wrong, I think this is the first UltimateE race, whether it's PC, PS4. This is the first time we've ever had rain in one of these races. So yeah, it's an
yeah. I mean, definitely not just rain, but changing conditions where we started on slicks and now moving into Inters. So It's great to see where the game is actually throwing in variations where you don't just start completely on the wets and then move into completely on the wets and then move to inters, but you start on the slicks and then move into wets. So it's brilliant to watch the game evolve as we go along. But it looks like Dylan Zakaria has pulled an absolute masterstroke because he now is 10 seconds ahead of Arjun Ranshaw. So that's the kind of laps or that's the kind of speed he's managed to make up while Arjun was on slick tires or before he went into the pits. But Dylan Zakaria now 10 seconds ahead, so big lead. But behind him now for fourth place, it looks like everybody's gone on to inters at this point in time. So in fourth place now, Brandon Zakaria, Dylan's brother, up in fourth place, and he's battling for a spot on the podiums against the Alpha Tauri of Arya. And Arya is absolutely no slouch. He's superb around this track and this game as well. But Brandon Zakaria is absolutely holding him to everything he's got around the outside. Is he going to make this move stick? Because it is very hard to do on the circuit. And Arya's not making it easy, but still, Brandon Zakaria, the outside becoming the inside around the center assist and makes that move, brings him up on the podium places. But and Arya now, he's going to have the slipstream now coming down the straight again. I wonder if he's going to go around the inside because Brandon Zakaria is not going to make this easy for him to pass. And Arya trying to look for a little sliver of daylight to put that car through, but unfortunately has to settle for fourth place for the time being. And Brandon Zakaria is all doing a super job there, defending once he got the place.
Yeah, definitely. He's been doing a phenomenal job so far, and he was one of those drivers who pit in very late for the intermediate tires, and I think he's one of the only ones for whom this strategy has also worked out. And if he's quick enough in the webs, he has 5.5 seconds to make up to Arjun Shah, who is also closing in pretty fast on Swaggy Delhi.
Yeah, he's taken about a second on him over the last lap. So Arjun Shah seems to like these conditions. Seems to like the car in the wet. The Ferrari suiting him a little bit more in the wet tires and the dry tires did. So let's just see what he can do because he's got 8 laps now to cover 9 seconds. So he's got to keep these qualifying laps up and relentless pace all the way to the end. But the way I see it at the moment, as long as Dylan Zakaria can have this covered, this is going to be crazy. But a lot of them now, so I'm hearing from race control as well, are carrying penalties. So we've just got to wait for them to settle down because I know Arya's got a penalty. I know Brandon Zakaria's got a penalty. I know a lot of these guys I've been seeing penalties come up and down. So until they cross the line, the fat lady's not going to sing until they cross the line and the checkered flag waves. So we'll see when the penalties come into play where these guys finish now with 8 laps to go in this unbelievable series that we have today with 2 races in Brazil. And now with these changing conditions, so it's great to see these guys show their class because Arjun Shah now has taken almost another second out of Dylan Zakaria around this lap.
Yeah, I mean he's been phenomenally quick in general, and he's showing us that he can still be quick even in the wet. He did have a small moment before these guys went on to the intermediates, but he's just gone past it and he's just trying to focus on what he has to do now. And he is pulling away from Brandon as well. So Brandon not pulling away, not closing in onto Arjun Shah.
And Brandon right now doing a super job defending against Arya, but right now we're on board here with Aman Abdullah, who had a terrific qualifying, started in second place, but then had a disaster on the first lap, and now went down into almost 13th, 14th place, and then pitted early, and seems to be one of these guys who's taken advantage of that early pit stop and has worked himself up to 8th place. Might just have a 7th place by the end of it because this track and these conditions seem to be suiting him. There we go, just as I said. But it looks like he's worked up another place. So he's gone up. There we go, around the outside. I think Tanay Singh's gone off on the grass and it's going to give him a big spin. And it's also going to give Sid Kulkarni there behind him a little look and a little run as they come down the start finish straight. But Aman Abdullah then up in the 7th place now, but 24 seconds behind Kaushik Natarajan in the McLaren in 6th place. So there's a long way to go. And Kaushik fighting very hard for 5th and 6th place between Kaushik Natarajan and Siddharth. But Arya and Brandon Zakaria are still absolutely nothing in it for the last spot on the podium with 7 laps to go. But up ahead, Sohail, another second and over another lap being taken off by Arjun Shah. So the pace he's carrying right now, absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, but also with the pace he's carrying now, he will not have enough time to close in completely on Swaggy Delhi. And as we've heard the saying, catching up is one and overtaking is another. And it's definitely the case, especially when it's in the wet conditions. But I think on the last lap, we did see Tanay Singh come into the pits. And if he's going on to the wets, then it'll again be very interesting to see where he is, because if he is starting to gain a lot of time on the wet tires, then Arjun Shah could use that as an opportunity to make up all that lost time.
Well, just as you said, we're still watching. Yes, Siddharth and Kaushik Natarajan, the Renault, the McLaren battle each other, but just not. So Kaushik Natarajan just not able to get past of Siddharth. And there we go. As we're saying, Siddharth, another 3-second time penalty. So as we're going on, there's a lot of time penalties now being added through and through over the last couple of laps that I've been watching down. So we really have to wait for them to cross the line. Really have to wait for them to cross the line. And there's another sector 2 yellow flag. So I think there's a big mistake there by Akshay. Was it Akshay Hoover or Online Cool Boy? Because one of them just dropped off. So it's been pretty crazy. It's actually been pretty crazy all the way up and down. I haven't seen 12 laps go by, but 6 laps, like you were saying, he's still not been able to make a huge dent in that. So unless Dylan Zakaria makes a big mistake, he's got this in the bag. And Arjun Shah, he's just got to keep that pace up. It's got to be relentless. And in third place now, still a battle between Brandon Zakaria and Arya for the last spot on the podium. Arya absolutely not letting Brandon Zakaria go, because Brandon the last time out, the couple of laps ago overtook Arya for that third place in a brilliant overtake around the outside on the Senna SS, and now he's defending that position. So this is a great drive, because we haven't seen a lot of him over the last couple of weeks, but looks like he's been practicing with his brother. He's gotten a lot better, and he's doing a phenomenal job now defending against Arya, because Arya is a brilliant racing driver in this game.
Yeah, they both have been really quick. Again, like Brandon has not been very quick over the last couple of weeks, as you just mentioned. But yeah, he has come up with a lot of pace this time. But again, he wasn't that great in qualifying. But we did see him pull out that strategy, and it's worked out really well for him. And right now, we did see Tanay Singh pit, as like I mentioned earlier. But I really want to know what tires is he on, because if he looks to be losing right now, but he is gaining it during the corners, and I don't know where he's gaining or losing, and I really want to know what tires is he on, so we have better understanding of what tires is he on, and then we know exactly what's going on in terms of how wet the track is.
Absolutely, you've called it, because this track, I mean, it doesn't look like it's raining any harder. Rather, looks like it's starting to get a lot better, because a dry line is starting to show. The rain has definitely not gotten any harder. So I don't see the point of getting wets on. But with 4 laps to go, we're still watching Arya and Brandon Zakaria. I wonder if Arya is just holding back until the very last lap, because one of the easiest overtaking spots is this first sector. The second and third soil in this track, second and third sectors on this track, very hard to overtake. Oh, but just as I say, he is making that move down the inside. Arya now moving up into third place. I wonder if he's going to be able to make it and stick that car on the inside. He does, and holds that line. Ooh, you see that tail, the tank slapping out as he goes around the outside, down the inside of Brandon. But Brandon's not going to hold on to Arya, and they switch around again with 4 laps to go. And now it's Brandon's turn to attack and Arya's turn to defend. And that's what we're going to be a witness to for the last spot on the podium, Soil.
Yeah, the last spot on the podium, pretty much one of the most important spots, because that determines between a good driver and a good-ish driver. And that's basically what we're watching right now. And but by the looks of it, Arya is starting to pull away from Brandon. So I think Brandon, after he got past him, and once the track got a bit more wet, he's trying to struggle a bit more.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like he just got. He looks like he lost a little bit of focus, because that move. If you realize, when he pulled that move, Arya had to get off. I mean, Brandon had to get off the throttle. Otherwise, he would have gone straight into him, unfortunately. But it looks like he's lost a little bit of time, and now while he's losing a little bit more time, he started to he gained a little bit down the straights, but definitely losing a lot more in the corners. So Arya much quicker than Brandon in the corners, and pulling away considerably now. 1 second over the last half a lap now, with 3 laps to go. So Arya now in comfortably ahead of Brandon Zakaria, but Brandon phenomenally spirited defense and attack while it lasted. Now let's see if we can take the battle back. To Arya in third place. But up ahead now, Arjun Shah is only 7.5. So he's only managed to take about 1.5 seconds out in the last 2 laps. So looks like he's settling down for second place now.
Yeah, I mean, there is one more race, and because it's a reverse grid, obviously you don't know what happens. So Arjun's probably put more of his money on that race other than push hard on this in this race and try to end up in a mistake. So that's smart thinking from Arjun. Make sure that he doesn't make mistake this race. Finish P2 on the podium, and start ahead of Swaggy Dilly next race, and try and make up as many positions as he can.
That's exactly what he can do, because next race, ladies and gentlemen, in about 2 laps time, when this race is over, the next race on, you're going to have people like Dylan Zakaria, Arjun Arimshah, Brandon Zakaria, Arya, Aman Abdullah, who's brilliantly now made it back up in a fifth place after that horrendous start, but the gap now too big to fourth place. But a super recovery drive by him, so we know he's got the pace. All of these guys are going to be starting at the back of the grid, while the other guys like Tane Singh, Aditya, the Vita Karliorni, Siddharth, Sid Venkatesh, Sid Venkatesh, Rashik Natarajan are all going to be starting ahead of the field on pole position and so forth. So a full reverse grid when we go into race number 2, another 18-lap race. But that race, ladies and gentlemen, is where everything comes into play. And we've got to see these guys now who've claimed the podium, who've claimed the top spot, the top step on that podium, who have the mettle to see if they can bring it back and bring it back around 18 laps. A lot of work for them to be done next race on, so.
Yeah, 100%. Like we've said before, with Brandon again, he's also falling back this time, and from one better, but he also has another race to bring it back, and so is it for Aman Abdullah currently in P5, who's 22 and a half seconds behind Brandon. So these few drivers who have lost out due to the weather conditions or due to their driver mistake or due to someone else's mistake, but they do have one more race to bring it back, and knowing that they're going to be starting that much more ahead of the drivers winning this race, they have that much more of a chance to try and turn it around for them.
For sure, because we're definitely going to see these guys out of the pace, because the gap now between 4 and 5 is massive. We've got 22 seconds between the two. So absolutely, there we see Aditya now with another 3-second penalty. But the gap between 4 and 5 now massive, 20 seconds between the two. So it's rather hard now, Soul, for these guys to catch up. But 1 lap left to go now in this Brazilian Grand Prix, Soul, and we're going to have a lap. We're going to have one more race after this, so it's going to be brilliant to watch. I think coming through. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. We've got another race in these 18 laps. This is very exciting Brazilian Grand Prix. But at this point in time, it's going to be Swaggy Dilly now 6 or 7 seconds rather ahead of Arjun Shah in his first race. He looks like he's rather comfortably going to take this win. He's going to be rather comfortably going to take this win because he's got a comfortable lead now ahead of Arjun Shah. I thought we'd see a lot more of a battle between these two, but that master stroke by Sohail right up in the beginning, by Dylan Zakaria right up in the beginning to go in and change onto those intermediates early, Sohail. An absolute cracker to watch him do that.
Yeah, definitely. We can see Arjun Aruncha also starting to close in a bit on the last lap, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter as long as Swaggy 3 doesn't make a mistake. And if he does, then Arjun Aruncha, if he doesn't get too excited and makes the mistake himself, then he probably has a chance. But yeah, we have half a lap, just over half a lap to see what is going to happen.
I mean, yeah, because I don't see Dylan Zakaria. Looks like he hasn't put a foot wrong all through this race. Has actually been really, really good, and he made that move stick on Arjun Shah early on when Arjun Shah made that mistake, handed the lead over to Dylan, and Dylan from then on has absolutely controlled it with an absolute masterclass in pit stops. Brilliantly to see that he went in pitted early, one of the first few guys to read the weather conditions, read the track, knew exactly when to pit, and worked in his advantage. He came out a good 10 seconds ahead of Arjun Shah. Unfortunately, Arjun hasn't been able to close that gap up, but pull about 4 seconds back. But that's not enough. And we see now Dylan Zakaria coming around the final few corners down the start-finish straight. He's going to cross the finish line as he goes right next to his pit wall, wins the first race of the UltimateE virtual Brazilian Grand Prix on the Saturday fun day. So here we go. Dylan Zakaria now in first place. Arjun Shah brilliantly driven second place. Arya looks like he's going to get across the line in third with Brandon Zakaria 3 seconds or so. He's definitely dropped off the pace there after a brilliant little battle between Arya and Brandon Zakaria for the final step on the podium, and Arya there crossing the line in third place. But after all those penalties, Brandon Zakaria looks like he's moving up for third place. So like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of penalties the game has added, so it's not over till the fat lady sings. And here we just saw that there was 3 seconds between Brandon and Arya. That 3-second penalty looks like Arya might have had a 6-second penalty. Dropped him down into fourth place. So Brandon Zakaria, both the Zakaria brothers, up on the podium. So that is brilliant for them to see. Aman Abdullah, after that horrendous, disastrous start for him, we really want to see a replay to see what happened to him down there. From second place on the grid, dropped all the way to the back and has now made his way back up to 5th place on the grid. So brilliant driving by him, and Sid Kulkarni then in 6th place. So Sohail, the first race we've had has been absolutely brilliant to watch.
Yeah, we had weather condition change. We've had speed drivers getting caught up, and we've seen brilliant strategies come out of this race. And I really hope that there is a weather difference in race 2 as well. Whether it changes from start to finish or not, but it should at least have some parts of wet in it.
I wish it does, because the wet absolutely gave us so much to talk about, gave us so much excitement, gave us so much to look forward to. And there we go, Dylan Zakaria. This is a really new feature in the game that we see, where we don't see real life podiums and there are no fans when F1 goes racing in 2020. But these podiums, great to watch. Dylan Zakaria up on 1st place, Arjun Arunsa in 2nd place, and his brother Brandon Zakaria sharing the podium with him in the sister Red Bull car. Brilliant to see these. This is a really great podium to see, because all these 3 guys super quick, and Brandon Zakaria, big kudos to him, because we haven't seen him up on that podium in a long time here at UltimateE. So it's a great standing for the top 3 at this point in time. But the rounding up the 4th, Arya then in 4th place, Aman Abdullah, brilliant drive up in the 5th place, Sid Kulkarni in 6th, Siddharth in 7th, Kaushik Natarajan in 8th place, Siddharth in 8th place, 9th place, and 10th place. We have so many Siddharths on this. We have so many Siddharths on this, I get so confused 3/4 of the time. But yeah, sorry. Siddharth in 10th place, Aditya in 11th, Davita Corleone in 12th place, Tanay Singh in 13th, Online Coon Boy in 14th place. So these guys now, this is where it's going to get interesting, because this is where Swaggy Dilly, Arjun Arunsha, and Brandon Zakaria will start at the back of the grid, and people like Online Coon Boy, Aditya, Tanay Singh will be on pole on the first top 3. It's going to be a full reverse grid on this 18-lap race that we're going to have at the Brazilian Grand Prix here at UltimateE Saturday Fun Day, where we go racing for the fun of it, where some of India's best sim racers race against each other. A couple of seconds from going racing again, we just got to get the grid ready, because we just got to change the settings a little quickly, where we're going to have a full reverse grid for the second race. So it's going to be great to watch all now. A lot of the fast guys are going to be starting all the way at the back, and a lot of the guys who are a lap down last time out, starting on pole. So huge opportunities for the guys at the back now to prove themselves.
Yeah, it's always a new opportunity, and I want to know how many drivers take it, and at the same time, how many drivers make it through after the race 1 reverse grid. Because if Swaggy Dilly can come ahead and win this race as well, like we saw Ashwin Lakhwani win the reverse grid last week again, even after winning the first race, if Swaggy can do that, then I'll be really impressed by his driving. But again, we just have to wait and watch as to what the weather has in place for us.
Yeah, because the weather has really surprised us. We weren't really expecting the weather to change the way it did the last time out. And it did go from absolutely bone dry through from qualifying into the first 2 laps. And then it hunkered down into a massive downpour, where these guys went on to intermediates, changed the race dynamics up massively. And guys like Swaggy Dilly and Dylan Zakaria are taking huge advantage of that to win the race, because we're still going to see now a reverse grid in race number 2. So this race out, I'm going to ask you in terms of a prediction, especially with the reverse grid, where it's so unpredictable to know who's going to win over 18 laps. Who's your money on?
If I were to put my money on, I think I would put my money on Aman Abdullah for now, because we've seen his pace in qualifying. He was P2, and knowing that he will be quick, and he is starting in P10, I believe, because we have 15 cars on the grid and he finished P5. So he has the best chance in my opinion. So as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, I'd say my money is on him.
Well, I gotta watch out for the Aman Abdullah, who's the Phantom 13579. So we're gonna wait to see if Sohail's predictions come through, because we're very, very close to going racing, a couple of seconds away. We're just waiting for the broadcasters now to get these guys ready and get the grid up. Waiting for the drivers as well to get on their way. And then we will be going. We're not gonna have a qualifying session, but a reverse grid of the results of race number 1. So a lot to look forward to, because the guys who didn't have the opportunities, and like Sohail called it, guys like Aman Abdullah, who qualified second but had a disastrous start and got dropped all the way to the end, will now start 10th. So he's got a big opportunity to make up time and make up place. And this time also, we didn't see too much carnage in turn number 1 the last time out, except the first two guys, the first 2-3 guys. I'm sorry, the second or third, apart from a couple of guys, but this time out, I think I can expect a lot more.
I'm not gonna say anything this time because every time I mention Carnage, it has never gone out the way I've said it. So I'm just gonna watch what happens and then just gonna wait for you to tell me there's Carnage, and then I'll be like, oh, there it is.
Let's not call it. I completely agree with you on that front. I don't think we need to call this one at all. We're just gonna wait around and see if it actually happens or not. But exciting racing ahead, guys. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us right here. We're going to be going racing in a couple of seconds. We're going to be doing race number 2. There we go. 30 seconds an hour. We're going to have a session start. But 30 seconds an hour, we're going to go unless we're just waiting for Phantom, I think, to hit the tick mark, and then we go racing. But it's going to be race number 2. It's going to be race number 2, and it's the complete reverse grid of this 18-lap race in Brazil that we're going to be on. If it's anything like the first race, we're going to be in for an absolute cracker of a race, and I'm joined by Sohail, where we were treated to an absolute sensational masterclass in race number 1, and Sohail, race number 2. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said, we don't have qualifying anymore, so it's going to be directly the race. And the moment these loading screens over, we probably will see Filer Let's come on immediately. And these guys will be, some guys might even take it by surprise. Like they might have expected some waiting time, which
Yeah,
they
but I
might
think we're
not
going to
get.
be racing a couple of seconds now because all these guys seem to have readied up. The 5 lights, like Sohail said, will come into play. The moment we go racing, the 5 lights will come on. We're just waiting. The screen is loading at the moment. We're just waiting for the game to load. When the game does load, we will have the 5 lights that will go out. And so we are in for an absolute treat because this time out, it's a lot heavier than we saw on the Inter. So this is full wets now.
This is full wets, and now I'll say that Carnage is a 99% possibility.
You're not going to hold back on this one. You just wanted to wait and see what the weather was. But again, this is going to give a lot of the guys up front back. It's going to be, we just really can't predict. And there we go. Full wet track. The 5 red lights are illuminated. When they go off, we're going to go racing. Race number 2 at Brazil. A brilliant start there by Akshay, who's starting on pole. Thane Singh in second place. Adya in third place. A lot of guys in the mid-pack now moving up and down. But already contact between 1 and 2 and clean racing between Thane Singh and Akshay Hoover down in turn 1 B. But behind them, so as you said, not too much carnage. I can see a lot of the guys who've gotten through very, very easily at this point in time. With Thane Singh, Adya in third place, Sid Venkatesh in fourth, Starth in fifth place. Arjun Shah's made up a huge number of places, up in the 6th place along with Kaushik Natarajan and Aman Abdullah now in 8th place. Dylan Zachary up in the 9th place, starting all the way from the back of the grid. So a lot of the guys who started off making huge amounts of ground, and I can see cars now going off left, right, and center, and that's given Arjun Shah another couple of places up. But Starth now in the other Ferrari, battling it out very, very close between these two. But Akshay Hoover gingerly now just feeling his way around the track as the first to arrive in these very, very wet corners, trying to figure out where the grip is. As here, there we go, safety cars. I think that must have come out for the Vita Corleone, who's probably gone up and had a mega crash somewhere. But what a start we had there, Sohail. So much action up and down the field.
After first 2 corners, I was like that 1% could not overpower my 99, and then the moment we get onto the next straight under the spray where nobody can see anything, we had that 99% overpower that 1% again.
Yeah, and it's exactly like you said, because it's given guys like Arjun Shah has moved up 7 places. Dylan Zachary has moved up 6 places. Online Cool Boy looks like he's moved down 8 places, starting second on the grid, now in 10th. Not very good news for him, because he could have done supremely well, especially in these conditions, because these conditions with the spray, with how slippery, how wet it is, feeling the grip around every single corner, especially how slippery it is off the racing line. So not easy at all in these conditions to overtake.
Yep, never easy. But the best part is, even though so my prediction went completely opposite with Aman Abdullah. He's down in P13 in the pits, probably has some damage, and using the safety car to make that up. But we've had Arjun Shah starting P14, Swaggy 3 starting in P15. They are up into P7 and 8. And I'm looking forward to their battle because they are still pretty much with each other. And the moment
Yep.
safety car goes on, I want to know if Arjun Arun Shah is going to looking to attack or looking to defend, because that says a lot about a driver, in my opinion, as to what they are thinking. They know the championship rivals right behind them, but do they look forward or do they pretend on defending?
Absolutely, because that's a lot of it comes down to what the driver's going to do on a restart. So, you said the driver's personality, exactly like how you called it, exactly his driving style in terms of if he's going to attack or defend. So, it's really, really well called. And great to have an insight from a real racing driver, especially in terms of mentality of what these guys are thinking under their helmets. They're going around behind the safety car. And also remember, ladies and gentlemen, these tires not easy to keep the heat in them at all. And this game being rather realistic this year around. It's going to be hard for them in this space to keep those heat in those tires because it looks like it's absolute snail space as they come around this track.
Yeah, we can see the telemetry at the bottom right in case the viewers did not know. And we can see the live speed over there, the safety car picking up some speed, but through the corners they're going at like 30 to 60 kilometers per hour. So that is pretty slow to keep any heat in the tires, but I don't see anybody weaving around too much as well. So maybe it's doing the job, but we can't really tell from here, can we?
Yeah, not at all because we don't have the stats. I really wish we could get the tire temperatures or see what tire temperatures these guys are running. It'll make it a lot easier for us to figure out what the strategies could be. But a full wet race now, so well, there's in all probability a flag to flag. These guys won't have to pit.
Yeah, but sometimes may again go for the gamble because you never know. It all depends on the driver. If he doesn't slide too much, there is going to be enough tire wear for him to make it to the end. But with the safety car, it just helps out the drivers on a one stop. And if you've gone for a two stop, then you don't need to worry about the tires too much. Just make sure you push and make sure you don't spin while doing that. And
Well, it definitely looks like the rain seems to have stopped for the time being. It
no,
doesn't
no,
look
no,
like it was
it's
as
still heavy.
heavy. Well,
It's still
yeah, it
pretty
doesn't look
heavy.
like it was as heavy as when it started off. So we might be able to see these guys come on into enters towards the end of the race. But those big black clouds ahead, I don't think they're going to have any opportunity this time out. It's going to be a wet race here in Sao Paulo in Brazil. At UltimateE Saturday Fun Day, we were racing Formula One 2020 around the Brazil circuit with some of India's best sim racing drivers and professional racers. Where right now we've got the second race of the evening and the final race of the evening, where we have a full reverse grid at the moment. And just as we were talking about them, guys like Dylan Zakaria and Arjun Arun Shah, I can see Dylan Zakaria has moved ahead of Arjun Arun Shah. So I wonder if there's been a little bit of a mistake somewhere because they've swapped positions around. But I wonder if he's going to give it back. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
as we come out of the last corner, the safety car is coming in on this lap, and you can see Tanay Singh already pressurizing Akshay Hoover, and Akshay using
whoa, is that
interesting
all? I
using
think there were
using
three
interesting
wide trying to go in,
tactics.
but they're not allowed to overtake before the start of the straight. Whoa, that's three. That's two Force Indias and the Red Bull now. Three wide could
Racing
be
Point.
very hard. And Tanay Singh now. Oh, I think I can see. Is that someone who's gone off? I think someone did go off as well there. But right now,
I can see
Tanay
carnage.
Singh. There's a lot of carnage because I think Arjun Shah and Swaggy Dilly is staying out of that carnage in 7th and 8th. Oh!
As you
Is that
mentioned, that's
Arjun
Arjun Arun
Shah?
Shah.
That is Arjun Shah in the wall, so that is not good news for him. Completely caught out there, going straight into the wall on the exit, down start finish straight. And Swaggy Dilly now up in the 7th place, straight out of that mess. But a lot of guys now up here. Tanay Singh, Aditya and Sid Venkatesh, and Kim and Kaushik Natarajan as well. All these guys battling really, really hard. And India's it's Akshay Hoover, who was in the lead coming out of the first corner, is now dropped down into fourth place. And Tanay Singh, a brilliant move. You could see him pressuring Akshay Hoover before the start. After the safety car had moved in and did not pay dividends for Akshay Hoover, unfortunately. And Tanay Singh taking absolute advantage of it. And now in the lead in 2 seconds now clear of Aditya. But behind Aditya, a big train of cars forming because these guys now, with the quicker guys, unfortunately, looks like Arjun Shah all the way down in 12th place. It's just not easy at all for him.
Yeah, obviously, but as you might have missed this point, but Akshay Hoover leading the safety car restart is allowed to maintain the pace that he wants. But as a driver leading the safety car, you are not allowed to go full speed and then slow back down. So I wonder if he's going to be having another postage penalty applied from the UltimateE stewards, and that is again going to play a strong role in his position, finishing position.
Well, you're absolutely right because this role, like you said, it is going to play a big role. And if this kind of builds so, I wonder, especially when the safety cars start, it's going to put a lot of guys behind him out of position now.
Yeah, definitely. And with the way how aggressively he slowed down, we did see a lot of things happening around him. Like we see them go three wide at the start, before the start finish line, and those are the kind of things that are to be avoided, and that's why this rule is in place. And definitely, we saw a lot more carnage this time than we saw in lap one, and I wasn't expecting that. So. Okay, so we may have lost Anjan for a moment, but he will be back. As you guys know, under this lockdown, we are all at home and we are using technology with internet
I
connectivity.
apologize that it dropped off for a second.
Yeah,
I'm back now.
yeah,
Actually, yeah,
he's
you
back
back.
now.
Um, but yeah, so like you were saying, like now a yellow flag has come out in secondary again. So a lot of guys going moving up into the field. I think that yellow flag is for Tanay Singh or Akshay Hooper rather, who's dropping off my timing screens rather rapidly. And that's put Akashik Natarajan now up in the first place. So things changing around every second third corner. There we go. Akshay Hooper looks like he's pulled up alongside and slowing down massively. So big problems for him, unfortunately, now dropping down all the way down to 11th place. But a lot of these guys now, I think this is going to be mental because Arjun Shah looks like he has already made that pit stop now down in last place. And these guys now so well coming off intermediate tires at the moment. Aman Abdullah looks like he's putting. Looks like they're all going to the pit stop for intermediate. And Aman Abdullah, the only one who hasn't gone to the pits yet. Now making up 10 places now up in the lead. So Inter's now so well coming into play.
Yeah, I just want the drives to come in now, like right now at this very moment, and I just want to see the good drivers may pull out some bizarre strategies and come out with the race win. But this has put almost everybody in the pits, and Arjun Arun Shah is again in the pits. Maybe did not anticipate the wets and. When he went to fix his front wing, he did not change to intermediates. He's back onto the intermediates, and I think Swaggy Dilly is currently looking in a very strong position for the race win because. Oh wait, I did not see this, but we had Aman Abdullah leading this race. So yeah, my prediction is turning around again, and it's coming
Yeah,
back
because
to my
Aman
favor.
hasn't just make note because Aman and Kaushik Natarajan behind him first and second haven't pitted yet. There we go. Kaushik looks like he's diving in the pits. Oh, he's a little battered in Sid Venkatesh and Siddharth. Both Siddhartha and Sid Venkatesh both battling each other, having a little bit of a knock there, spinning him around. Stewart's definitely going to take a look at that. But the top guy now, who's Dylan Zachariah now moving up to third place after his pit stop, so working out rather well for him. And Tanay Singh as well after he got hammered down the start finish straight as well, moving up a couple of places. So this is now looking like you said, looking like it's working out very well for Dylan Zachariah. And I wonder where his brother is. Last time out, who finished on the podium, Brandon Zachariah, they had 11th place unfortunately. So much further down, but Sid Kulkarni behind him and relentlessly 3 seconds behind him. But now Dylan Zachariah now less than half a second ahead of. Oh, Dylan! You can see how it's all really comfortable on those inters. Just yet, it's still very wet. So the decision to go on to the inter is definitely a good one. But I wonder if it's a gamble. If it's a gamble, they're going to hold on to because 10 laps now to go. He's left than half a second ahead of Aditya. Behind Aditya now in third place. This was second place. But ahead now, he's losing a lot of time now to Aman Abdullah in first place because of Aman pits at this very moment. He will come out ahead. He'll come out about a second ahead, ahead of Aditya at the moment. So
Yeah, but he has not pitted. He just set the fastest lap of the race with the previous lap. But right now, looking at the way the standings are, I don't think Arjun Arun Shah has anything to get on Swaggy Dilly, and the championship looks pretty much sealed unless there is a mistake from Swaggy Dilly. And then Phantom comes into, or Aman Abdullah, as we know, can come back into the championship fight because he is currently leading with the fastest lap, which means he should be getting 26 points out of this. And Swaggy Dilly had 25 points in the previous race. So if Swaggy Dilly finishes fifth or below, then I believe Aman Abdullah wins the championship.
yeah, with Tanay Singh now behind them, setting the quickest laps, and he's gaining on Sid Kulkarni as well. So Tanay Singh and Sid Kulkarni are going to be locked in battle very soon. But Dylan Zachariah and Aditya now even closer as they go around these last couple of corners of this lap, because now as they come down, there's no DRS available. Remember, I think he's made a mistake, Aditya, and Dylan just sweeps down the inside, making absolutely no, wasting absolutely no time. Just absolutely makes no mistakes, puts no foot wrong. Brilliantly done, and up in the second place. And now 25 seconds now. He's got to hunt down Aman Abdullah now in front. Because if Aman doesn't decide to pit, if he decides to pit now, he's going to come out very, very close to Dylan Zakaria. But these two, with the pace that Dylan has now on the inters, is looking a lot quicker than Aman is on the full wets at the moment.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely gonna be playing into Swaggy's thing, and Swaggy wasting absolutely no time, as you mentioned earlier, completely free B for him. But I think we've missed it. But Phantom is on intermediate tires, leading the race, so
Ah,
that's an interesting point right there. And but Swaggy really does look quicker. He's already clawed up around half a second, maybe more, on this first sector alone. As he got past the.
well, he's still got another 8-9 laps or so to go. He's got half the race just covered 24 laps, so he's definitely gonna have to put in a lot. Laps are a lot quicker than his current pace right now if he wants to catch up. Because what he's doing right now is just not enough, and I wonder if that gamble is paid off or not for him. Where is Arjun Shah now? Making his way up now into 8th place. He's 1 second behind Sid Venkatesh in 7th place. He's probably not going to take too long to get past Sid Venkatesh, but after that, there's a long gap then for 14 seconds then behind Kaushik Natarajan after that.
Yeah, I mean there is a big gap. So Arjun Arun Shah, we know he's pretty quick in these conditions as well, because you saw
Oh,
from the
is that
last.
was that Brandon Zachary in the background who just went off behind Arjun Aruncha? I think it was Brandon Zachary. I saw him flying off the road, so I wonder in the Red Bull if he managed to hold it together, if he's got a little bit of damage, because you might see him in the pits a little bit shortly. But there, Arjun Aruncha now right behind on the gearbox now, Sid Venkatesh in this Brazilian Grand Prix, fighting now for 7th place on this podium. It's definitely where he didn't want to see himself at this point in time. He probably wanted to see himself a lot further up the grid, taking the battle to Aman Abdullah and Dylan Zakaria. But I wonder what happened there with the second pit stop, because I think he's mismanaged to add a little bit of damage. We had to go in and change the front wing. But right now, around the outside, he's going to make no mistake. He's going to break late. That line is going to change into the inside line coming down to the Stanahasis. And brilliantly done in a block pass. Nowhere for Siddharth to go in there. I know, brilliant move by Arjun Shah as he now goes after Kaushik Natarajan in the McLaren for 5th place.
Yeah, I mean there is 15 seconds between them, but with the number of laps left, I think he can make it up to that. But to win the championship, he'll have to finish 1 place ahead of Swaggy Dilly, and that will have to be P1. But we have the Phantom, we have Aman Abdullah in the pits right now. So are they going back onto the set of dry tires, because it looks pretty dry and there's not much spray coming out of these tires? So
It just might, because Phantom, I think, started this race on the intermediate tires. Because I do want to see if he can get a shot of it. It will be great to see if you can see him whose tires he comes out on, because I'm not being able to see what tires come out on at the moment. But if Phantom does come out on these dry tires, he's thrown a big spanner in the works, because now Dylan Zakaria is in the lead, 4 seconds behind Phantom, who's Aman Abdullah. So I wonder Abdullah is on the dry tires.
yeah, I
I
think
think he is. He's
come out of
definitely
the
on the
softs.
dry tires, and he's making huge mistakes. Definitely not dry enough for those dry tires at the moment. Aman Abdullah now wondering where the grip is on these dry tires. Wonder what made him go into those dry tires. Track still looks very wet and greasy, so.
Yeah, I mean you can see the back marker. Sorry, not back marker. Sid Kulkarni catching up pretty fast on him, and we know how quick the Aman Abdullah can be. And if he's been caught that quickly, he's definitely done something wrong in his strategy there.
Yeah, because that's definitely not right. Because I don't think the drive was the. Oh, look how much slower he is. He's so ginger on those throttles. He's gingerly applying the throttle, trying to get that car to hold its position. Not trying to absolutely do nothing on this. So I wonder also, with these guys going around the block on these dry tires, definitely not the right call. As you can see, over half that Aman Abdullah has been on the softs.
Yeah, he's come back into the pits right now, and we did see race control enable DRS, and as we know, it's kind of like a hack or something on this game to know when to go and rise. It's not exactly a hack, but like it's kind of an indication that gives you that the game deems the the track to have Dries as the fastest tire right now, so that's why they will enable DRS. So that's what some of these drivers use as an indication. But now with that mistake that Aman
I think,
Abdullah
yeah,
pulled out.
Aman has made, he's gone down into third place now. So he's down in third place. Sid Kulkarni is half a second behind him. I'm not gonna. No, I mean, I think Sid Kulkarni is also on the pit, so he's not gonna come out half a second behind. So third place is what he's gonna take. But Dylan Zakaria now from the back of the grid, making up 14 places all the way up to the front of the grid. 4 seconds clear of Aditya in second place. And Aman Abdullah now, after those 2 pit stops, still managing to hold on to third place. So fantastic timing and driving by him. Because it's not easy on this track, one, to overtake, and the risk he's taken, he's still on those slicks. He's not on the inters yet, so well. He's still very, very much on those slicks. So
Yeah, but
I
he's able to
wonder.
push now. And point to be noted, Swaggy Dilly pit, and he is on the inters, and the drives are looking pretty quick right
He's
now.
looking like it's going to be, yeah, he's setting now purple sectors around sector 2. So it's definitely a super dry. No, it's bone dry, the track. It is the right tire to be on at this point in time. So I wonder, is this a master stroke? Because Dylan Zakaria is in the pits. And at the point in time, Aman Abdullah is coming on the last corner. He is going to overtake Dylan Zakaria. There we go. Dylan Zakaria has lost the lead now to Aman Abdullah. Aman Abdullah absolutely timing this to perfection. Had to sacrifice one lap where it wasn't as dry as he thought it would be. Came back out on those supremely quick, soft tires. And looks like it's working for him because he's now also closing the gap on Antya very, very rapidly. So,
Yeah, and now Swaggy Dilly is fallen down to 6th place. Arjun Arun Shah is in P5. And if Aman Abdullah is able to make that 4.5 seconds up, or 4 seconds up to P1, and he manages to make that overtake within the next 5 laps, then he probably wins the championship, because I don't think Arjun Arun Shah is going to let Swaggy Dilly go that easily.
absolutely not, because this is the battle you wanted to see, where they were inseparable between Arjun Arun Shah and Swaggy Dilly. And in about 3 seconds, you just might have it if he managed to cover that gap up. But now 5 laps left. He's got to put in absolute qualifying laps. It's going to be a sprint now. We're going to see fastest laps change hands very, very quickly amongst these drivers of the next 5 laps. Of course, the next 4 laps rather. We're in the last half of this race, in the twilight zone, as they call it. The sun sets over this circuit in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. So we are in for an absolute cracker, because Aditya now leading this battle, but behind him 2.5 seconds is what Aman Abdullah has already taken off over 1 lap on Aditya. So Aman Abdullah, brilliant strategy against this time around. So with the changing conditions of the last 2 races, it's been everything about it's been absolutely about the brains more than the brawn, and absolutely timing those pit stops to perfection and calling the right tires. And I think Aman Abdullah, with that call, when we thought it was the absolute wrong call, we saw how he struggled around the first 1.5 laps. Wasn't easy for him, but now look at him. He's on the pace, and now 1.8 seconds behind the leader, Aditya.
Yeah, I mean, he is closing in pretty fast. There are 4 laps after this. As they complete this lap, there'll be 4 laps remaining. So there is enough time for him to catch up and overtake. But for him to win the championship, he'll have to make sure that he has the fastest lap to properly seal the deal, because there is around about 3.5 seconds from Swaggy to Arjun Arun Shah, who's definitely not going to make it easy. But Arjun's also closed in on the car in front
Arjun's
of him.
closed in on Kaushik Natarajan now in 4th place. So there's absolutely nothing in between those two. But this drive by these top guys, by Aman Abdullah, by Arjun, by Dylan Zakaria, and Brandon Zakaria as well, who's now up in his 7th place. I think he's taken advantage of the pit stops as well. But these guys, it's been a class act and an absolute brilliant showing of why they are some of the best in the country, and why they make this game and these cars work for them.
Yeah, definitely. And with Arjun closing in, makes the overtake. And if Swaggy can do the same, then he will be up into P5, which means it's going to be very important for Aman Abdullah to have that fastest lap point if he has to win. And if he does, then he wins the championship by just 1 point. So 8 tenths behind P1, makes the overtake, clean air, and it's just push for the fastest lap now.
Well, I'm going to leave the mat to you. Just let me know if he does win it or doesn't win it. At the end of it, we will celebrate along with him. Because if he does, it's going to be a one well-deserved compared to his first race where it wasn't his fault. And as we said, he's still setting fastest sectors around sector 3. Now on the tail of the leader, Aditya. Now the tail of the leader, Aditya. Now down the start for the straight, or down the back straight. I wonder he's just not able to get. Not able to get past him down that straight, but he's going to come around. I think he's going to hold back a little bit longer, come around, wait for him to come around that start straight again, and then trying to make his move because he's getting closer. He's checking him, constantly showing him his tires, constantly showing him he's there. And as I said, Brandon Zachary had another penalty. So this again, ladies and gentlemen, 2 laps to go until the checkered flag drops. We're not going to see Soil. We're definitely not going to know who's going to where they stand because so many penalties have been added throughout this race. So only when the checkered flag drops will we know where they stand. But at this present moment, it looks like he's gonna. Yeah, there we go. As we said, he's gonna wait for them to come around this long start finish straight, and then make his move because DRS now is also going to be active. He's going to get the use and assistance. There we go. The rear wing now open. He's using that assistance DRS in slipstream, in out there slipstream, closing up very, very carefully, very, very gingerly, braking him. Braking. Oh, just so close, but he's going to get the help of the DRS again. And this time he's much closer to Aditya. And Dylan and Aman Abdullah now in second place. He's going to look for the inside line. Is he going to brake? No, that is really, really late and almost gets the job done. But Aditya just shut the door on him. And Aman now on the faster tires compared to Aditya ahead of him on the slower soft tires, on the yellow marked sidewalls, as you can see as they go around those corners, his lines are absolutely perfect, defending with absolute precision and class, and not letting Aman Abdullah go ahead. And this is probably playing into Dylan Zacharias. We see a huge amount of oversteer from Aman Abdullah as he goes around the last couple of corners. But they're going to wait now again as he comes around the start finish straight. But this Soil is going to be one of the last times he's going to get the opportunity now to overtake him.
Yeah, I think what he was lacking so far was on the ERS, the energy recovery system. He has so little. You can just have a look at the telemetry at the bottom right of the screen that he's just got 5% of it, which is what was holding him back because he did not have any of that going into these 2 DRS zones last time. And Aditya ahead of him just using as much as he could of that ERS mode to try and get as close to or as far away from him as possible, and it's worked out in his favor perfectly so far.
Well, we're on the last lap right now, our last couple of corners. The battle for the first is insane, but the third position, if you take a look at the timing, ladies and gentlemen, Arjun Shah has made up another 2 places this time on, and it's been brilliant watching him. Dylan Zacharias still in third place, 2 seconds behind Sid Kulkarni, so he's not been able to make up that time. But Arjun Shah, what a showing from him. Who might just finish up in third place now if the penalties stand, because he has spin it twice, come out again, made everything work in his favor. That's brilliant to see. But Aman Abdullah now, I'm hearing from race control, has a 5-second time penalty. So if Arjun Shah can actually make that time up, he just might finish in second place. But Althea still holding Aman Abdullah on the racetrack at bay. And if he's going to cross the line in first place, he does cross the line in first place, starting in P5, now finishing up in first place in the second race of this evening, with Althea taking the win. With Aman Abdullah's sensational drive all the way from the back of the grid up to second place. Arjun Shah, another phenomenal race by him, finishing in third place. I think so. These top 3, this is brilliant, Soul. These top 3 that we're seeing right now have shown us some absolute classy racing all the way through.
Yeah, he's definitely done a lot of work on themselves, and they have proved to show that the strategy can be a big role. And I believe Swagger Lee just made a small mistake in his pit stop, went on to the intermediates again instead of going on to the dry, so he had to make that extra pit stop. But other than that, I think he's done a phenomenal job. And right now, I do not know who's won the championship. Don't know enough maths, and we'll just know exactly.
Well, I think
as
you've called it, I have a feeling that I have a feeling it's going to be either between Arjun Shah and Aman Abdullah, because definitely the 2 of them with 2 podiums back to back and 2 brilliant races by them, absolutely stunning. So well, and we've been treated to 2 absolute classics, to 2 brilliant races this Saturday evening at the Brazilian Grand Prix on the F1 2020 game. And here we go, Aditya now on top step, on that racing point in the beautiful pink. brilliantly driven by him. Second place then to Arjun, or second place then to Aman Abdullah, and in the Mercedes in third place to Arjun Shah in the Ferrari. So absolutely brilliant driving, and we've been treated to some incredible race. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We're going to keep you posted. Follow us on UltimateE on Instagram and YouTube for the results to see who's won the championship. We're going to get our stewards to get involved, and the championships will then come up there. But thank you for joining us. It's been a cracker of a race, a cracker of an evening, and we hope you guys have a great night ahead. Thank you from myself, Anjan Ashwath, and Soul Shah. Good night.